Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of Chaos Child. We're going for the last branching path, and yes, this is where we're starting. This is save file number 1, where we fell on top of Kazuki, or she fell on top of us, but we're gonna go negative, where she starts ranting about how everyone is spying on her, and are you a spy? Whatever it's gonna be. Now remember, each branching path has had us focus on a particular character. I'm assuming this is gonna be Kazuki. It's either that or Kunosato, and I doubt it's going to be Kunosato because we're not friends with her, and she's not a psychic. From that one little glimpse we saw in Arimura's story, it seems Kazuki is. So let's have ourselves a look. Let's go negative and listen to the raving.
Yeah.
Well, now we're back to Arimura. What's going to happen in here? We're going to go negative again. We've had our pleasant talk with Nono. We're back in school for the night. We have the tickle scene. We're not going to do the incredibly uncomfortable negative one. We're staying positive, where Takuro looks goofy as hell as they're tickling each other like inches from his face.
Hana-chan te mune ookii ne.
Yeah, still going positive. And there we are. Oh, we got an achievement. It looks like we found ourselves a path, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are back at the bulletin board. We are only on chapter 4, and we've only recently learned of the possibility of psychics. I think they had special powers. Done. We're back at Aoba Dorm. We silently look up the building. Are we going to find Kurisu wanting us to clean her? No. We're gonna find her dead. Sorry. And now we're in Kunosato's apartment. We have gone into the hospital. We captured Uki. And now I'm gonna have the negative delusion of looking at the sword. Oh dear. Pandemic call? Excuse me? Okay. We just escaped the pyrokinetic woman with Arimura and ran away, but now we're on a new chapter called Pandemic Call? What the hell? That makes me very uncomfortable, but anyway, we've found ourselves a new path. We've done it. And remember, we've already gotten the trophy for getting every single choice of delusion in the game, so this is just going to be a straight read. Let's find out what happens. It was nighttime, but for some reason the back gate was open. I went in from there. And just for a little context, I always check tips first, I'm so used to doing it. Pyrokinetic woman, I ran and ran and ran, and now we're just here? In the school, I guess. This didn't happen before. I'd been so desperate to get away that I hadn't even realized where I was. Maybe I'd come this way so many times that I just followed the path unconsciously. The lights were still on in the teacher's office and a few of the special classrooms. It was late, but someone might still be cleaning up after the culture festival. At some point I'd gotten separated from Arimura. That worried me. I imagined her screaming as she was burnt by a pillar of flame and almost threw up. Remember, at this point in the story, we have not lost Nono, we haven't even lost Yui. But we got separated from Arimura, so who knows what happened to her. No, that's overthinking things. It was impossible. It couldn't happen. Is that a different look? She looks furious. Why were we attacked anyway? Was that woman after me, or Arimura? Somebody tell me. My throat was parched. I hadn't even been running that long. It hurt to breathe. My strength was at its limits. Limits? The one thing I could be thankful for was that the horrible sensation caused by the sumo stickers was gone. For now, I decided to just head to the club room. It wasn't necessarily safe, but I at least wanted to catch my breath. And maybe Arimura would be there too? The door was unlocked and the lights were on. Okay, so it's gotta be Kazuki, right? Playing ESO too? I quickly ran inside. I staggered inside and collapsed on the table. I wanted water. No matter how much I tried to breathe, my lungs demanded more oxygen. The room filled with the sound of me gasping for air. Nobody responded. Was Arimura not here after all? Then why were the lights on? At least you're in a school. There should be water fountains around. My throat was so dry that I choked when I tried to speak. I curled into a ball and spat phlegm out from my mouth. Only then was I able to raise my head and look around the room. She's just like, what? Kazuki was there. She was standing in the corner of the room looking at me with wide eyes. That would explain why I thought no one was here. But what was Kazuki doing here at this hour? Yeah, really. Had she come here after I'd left for home this afternoon? Don't tell me this is, like, secretly her home. Because we know nothing about Kazuki, right? But she was going to go along with us when we were going to leave Shibuya, never talking to her parents or whatever. Does she actually live in the school secretly or something? Like, we know nothing. The one, like, we know two things about her. One, she plays ESO2. And two, she doesn't talk. And even that turned out not to be true. So, I got nothing on Kazuki. I thought about asking her, but before I could, I saw the computer monitor. It was displaying the same game screen as always. She was playing a game? How could she be playing a game when I was almost killed by that woman? I choked again. I could only speak in a hoarse whisper. That's great. Linera 2, Last Fantasy, Giant Rise, Whisper of Black or Block, Striker. I'm sure these are all names that are very close to real things. Senjo or Senjo, I don't know. She must have noticed how out of breath I was because she offered me a bottle of mineral water. If the cap was off, did that mean she'd been drinking from it? I mean, whatever. She once tried offering a lollipop she'd been sucking on, so there are no rules, but the water's not a big deal. I wondered for a moment if it was okay to drink, but I wasn't in a position to be choosy. I snatched the bottle out of her hands and poured its contents down my throat. I'd drunk so fast that some of the water had gone down the wrong pipe and I started to cough violently. But I still felt a lot better than before. Like, I'm just running in here gasping for breath, having narrowly avoided death, and she is cool as a cucumber. I collapsed to the ground, unable to say another word. Once I'd calmed down, the terror from before came back, and my body started to shake. I needed to hide somewhere. I couldn't be sure that this place was safe, and if it wasn't, Kazuki would be in danger. Kazuki seemed confused by my behavior. I mean, yeah, anybody would be. Did she want to ask what was going on? I didn't think she cared about anyone else. Well, I mean, come on, we know that's not true. But maybe she was nicer than I thought. She'd come to check on me with the others over the afternoon, after all. But I didn't feel like I had time to explain. First, I had to get somewhere safe. Was that an explosion? Was that the pyro woman?
Huh?
That sound. It was an eerie sound, like something had exploded. You'd never hear that sound as part of your everyday life. But sometimes you'd hear it in fiction, like in movies or TV shows. It felt like it was far away, but it was hard to tell. I stood up and opened the window to look out.
Huh?
A car parked near the front entrance had exploded. Oh my god! Black smoke was rising and the flames were illuminating their surroundings. A teacher had run out of the office and was yelling for someone to call a fire truck. It's that woman! It was too dark to see from here, But I knew it. She was after me. Did that mean I was her target? Why me?
あなた殺されますよ、宮代拓先輩。
I certainly remember that. Was it because I was a psychic? Yeah, we still haven't made the Senri Minamisawa revenge connection yet. Shit.
逃げないと。
As I went to leave the room, my gaze met Kazuki's. I didn't have time to explain.
和樹、今すぐ帰るんだ。家にできるだけ目立たないように行くんだ。でも校門はダメだ。通るな。
That was all I had time to say before I fled into the hallway. How many people were still here in the school building? I'd heard what sounded like a teacher's voice down below. At times like this, a wrong-sider could do nothing but panic. In fact, they often did stupid things that put them into even more danger. Wait, wasn't that what I was doing right now? I felt like laughing for some reason. I just prayed that she wouldn't hurt anyone else. All I could do was pray and run. There was no sign of her in the hallway. I needed to head out of the main building and escape out the back. Damn! This is way more intense than even the main plot with her trying to fry us alive. I heard another distant explosion and felt what might have been the building shaking. The glass was vibrating.
マジかよ。
Kazuki ran out of the room too. She was trying to follow me.
なんで追ってくるんですか?
Oh, come on, you're not going to do every man for himself, are you? That's cruel. Why was she following me? If that woman was after me, she'd be in danger. Yeah, I know, but I don't think she's discriminating very much right now. But Kazuki ignored my warning and shook her head frantically back and forth as if she was about to cry.
とにかく学校から出よう。
I yelled, more for my own sake than Kazuki's, and started to run down the hallway. We crossed the connecting hallway to the main building. In the distance, I could hear someone yelling for people to get to a safe place. The area around the school was in chaos. It must have been the people who lived in the neighborhood. Why would she attract so much attention? Wasn't she trying to kill me? Even if she did manage to kill me, did she think she could escape with all these people around?
なんなんだよ。
Why was that woman trying to kill me anyway? Was she the one behind the murders? Or was she just a psychopath who was setting things on fire at random? If she was, then what the hell? I bit my lip and ran down the dark hallway. If it was this dark, it wouldn't be easy for her to find me. All I had to do was get to the bottom of the stairs at the other side of the building. Then I'd go right past the library, then the track, and I'd reach the rear entrance. If I could make it out of the school while she was setting fire to cars at the front gate, I could escape.
和樹、急げ。
Kazuki tried her best to keep up with me. To be honest, she was slowing me down, but I was the one who'd run into the clubroom. Part of me thought that it was my fault for getting her involved, so I had no choice but to wait for her. I waited for her to catch up to me and started to dash down the stairs. But then... This is terrifying. This time I heard an explosion coming from the track outside. Ooh. I could see crimson flames rising outside the dark window.
嘘だろ。回り込まれたのか。くそ、引き返そう。
We stopped at the second floor and started to run back to the main gate. First, she'd burned the cars outside the gate, then she'd headed for the rear. It was unlikely she'd head back to the front gate that quickly. Kazuki was running out of breath. So was I, honestly. I was exhausted and I hadn't even been running that long, but I didn't have time to rest. We ran past the cafeteria, then went down to the entrance on the first floor. The entrance was always open during the day, but now all the doors were closed and locked. They were the kind that you needed a key to open, no matter which side you were on. Should I break a window? I looked outside for a moment and was astonished by what I saw. This is nuts! The gate was sealed with burning cars. When I'd seen it from the room, there weren't any cars there. Has she moved them there to block the gate? Did she move burning cars all by herself? That was crazy! And I could see a crowd gathering around the burning cars too. If I tried to force my way through and that woman came back, just thinking about it terrified me. That psychopath wouldn't even think twice before killing them all. I couldn't leave by the main gate. It would be too dangerous to try and avoid her flames as I made my way through the crowd.
だったらどこへ逃げればいいんだよ。
Kazuki flinched when I yelled.
悪い。別に和樹に怒鳴ったわけじゃなくて。
Where? Where could we go? Should I head back out to the rear entrance?
そんなのダメに決まってる。
She was just out there. I'd probably run right into her. Calm down. Think. As I stood there, I could feel the fear crawling up my body. I came to this school every day, but it still felt like I'd never been here before. Every shadow seemed like it might hide some danger. I was overcome with the idea that she might appear at any moment, and I couldn't move a muscle. In my head, I knew that it'd be easy to find me where I was, and that I needed to move. But I couldn't. It felt like my mind had been separated from my body. This was not good. I might die here. Kazuki tugged lightly on my sleeve. And then I got a hold of myself again. My body was shaking, but I was barely able to move.
移動しよう。
We just needed to hide somewhere. I ended up coming to my own classroom. I closed the doors and crouched by the windows, using the desks to block myself from sight. Kazuki was looking at me, concerned.
しゃがんで見つかるから。
Yeah, and Kazuki has no idea what any of this is, too, so this must be so weird. Kazuki quickly ducked down under a desk. Now all we had to do was stay put and wait for the storm to pass. I listened for any noises outside. I became extremely sensitive to even the smallest sound. Even a tiny noise was enough to make me start shivering. I hadn't heard any explosions for a while. As I sat there cradling my knees in my arms, I felt the urge to scream from terror. I bit my lip to stop myself from doing it. Maybe it would have been a better idea to keep running around the school. I was too defenseless here. I was hidden, sure, but if she found this place, I was finished. Yeah, that was like when we had that vision where we hid in the employee restroom. You are absolutely trapped in a restroom. This was the 4th floor. I couldn't jump out the window, and this was bad luck. If she trapped me in here, I was done for. Maybe this was a bad choice. The fear kept building. I couldn't stay calm. I wanted to run. But even if I did get out of the school, how long would I have to keep running? When would she give up? Was there any guarantee that she ever would? Maybe she'd keep following me until I was dead. I shuddered. I could hear the distant sound of heels. Really? I could hear the faint sound of someone dragging their leg. I can't even believe this! I thought back to when Arimura and I had been attacked less than an hour ago. Was she dragging her leg? I couldn't remember. But I felt sure of it somehow. Those footsteps belonged to her. Kazuki gulped. That meant I wasn't imagining the footsteps. And they were closer than I thought. She was on this floor. She was walking down the hallway. She was getting closer. How the hell does she know? I clutched myself tighter, but I couldn't stop shaking. Did she know I was here? Or was it a coincidence? Should I stay here? Should I move? But if I ran out now, she'd find me for sure. But there was no guarantee she'd just walk by my classroom. Either way, I was screwed. I was doomed. I was going to be burnt to death. I panicked and moved over to Kazuki.
パイロキネシスを使う女が襲ってくる。僕を狙ってるんだよ。
Kazuki's eyes went wide as she finally understood the situation. I skipped the explanation about what pyrokinetic powers were because I figured she might know from her games. Fair enough. I think I might have first heard the word itself in, like, Street Fighter 3? With Gil?
このままじゃ二人とも殺される。なあ、何か手はないか。何でもいい。知恵を貸してくれ。
She was close. She was almost on top of us. All I could do was crouch and hold my head in my hands. This whole situation was insane. I was going to be killed without even knowing why. And then...
なんとかできるかも。
Oh, here it comes. I still don't know what her power is. The only thing we got was when Arimara thought her brother was trying to kill her, Kazuki said, oh, I was gonna try to help her see her brother one more time or something like that. And I didn't quite know what that meant. Can she cast illusions? Like, Uki can put you into situations. Can Kazuki cast illusions? I don't know. Kazuki stood up and looked down at me, her face filled with uncertainty. Whoa! What was that grotesque thing she was holding in her hand? That's amazing! It looked like some strange creature from the deep sea. Or perhaps a spine ripped out of a human body. It was solemn, grave, and sharp, rejecting everything around it, with a radiant beauty that drew everything around it inward. It shone with the light of a paradox. The one thing I knew for sure somehow was that it was a sword. Was this a D-sword? Did Kazuki have a D-sword too? Yeah, at this point, I believe we've seen our own because we were introduced to the concept of our telekinesis. I don't think we ever gripped it, though. We saw Arimara's because she's the one who introduced it to us. And now Kazuki's. I don't believe we've seen anyone else's. I'm not 100% sure if we've seen Uki's.
Kazuki, お前、喋った？いや、それよりその件。
I was confused. So much was happening at once that I couldn't keep up. I didn't know what to ask first.
屋上行けば。
屋上?
I wasn't sure what she was talking about or why she'd suddenly decided to start talking, but the footsteps were getting closer.
どうなるかわかんないけど、結果は保証できないかもだけど、それでもいいなら。
So that was it. Kazuki was trying to save me. I stood up silently as I could.
屋上に行けばいいんだな。
There was no time to think about it. Even if she couldn't guarantee what would happen, I didn't have any other choices. Fortunately, the woman had passed by our classroom and headed for another wing of the building. We were able to make it to the roof easily. The roof of Hekiho Academy was a garden. Of course, it was the first time I'd been here at night. Thank God, we know what happened the other time we came here. Now wasn't the time for sightseeing, but I still gasped when I saw the view of Shibuya at night. I looked down over the fence and saw the front gate right below us. The cars were still burning and the crowd was getting bigger. The fire department was right nearby, but the fire trucks hadn't arrived yet. What was she going to do here? Was she going to use that sword to fight? That would be like something out of a manga or anime. You know, come to think of it, what do you think Riko Haida's sword looks like? I couldn't imagine her trying to fight with that thing. And if she wanted to fight, there was no need to come to the roof at all. She could have just ambushed the woman in the hallway. Was she trying to be chivalrous or something?
先輩。
え？
隠れててもらった方がいいかも。
どうするつもり？
Kazuki glanced at me but didn't answer. Instead, she walked toward the fence. And then, she grabbed onto the fence and took a deep breath. With no warning whatsoever, she screamed into the empty air. That's probably the most shocking part of this entire installment so far.
はしご。
No.
防火扉。スプリンクラー。
Huh? What was going on here?
屋上に牢屋。土砂降りの雨で火が消える。
Was she stupid? If she yelled like that, the woman would hear us. Was she trying to turn me over to her?
校舎に催眠ガス。警察の機動部隊出動。
She could do all that?
消防車で放水。5台じゃなくて10台。
Is she the most powerful psychic ever?
待てって。
I grabbed Kazuki by the shoulders and tried to make her stop, but she knocked my hands away. Even in the darkness, I could see tears in her eyes.
黙って。
The second she said the words, I felt a pressure in my chest like a cold hand gripping my heart. For some reason, I felt like I was being forced to fall silent. What was her wish that she could do all this? I wanted to speak, but I felt like I had to stay quiet. I vaguely dreaded that if I said something, I'd be erased from the entire world. I staggered away from Kazuki, unable to find the words to say anything. Was this why she told me to hide? And maybe this is why she doesn't talk ever. Holy shit! Is this why she never talks? 'Cause she'll just make things? AK-47, the name of a Soviet automatic rifle first manufactured in 1949. It's legendary for its reliability and ease of use, and even now, well over a half-century later, there are many militaries which still use guns based off the AK-47. Used AK-47s, as well as illegally made copies, can be found all over the world, especially in the hands of paramilitary groups and terrorist organizations. Alright, well, another gun. M60, a machine gun first used by the American Army in the late 1950s. I don't have any more to say about that. Rocket-propelled grenade? A portable, recoilless anti-tank launcher developed by the Soviet Union. We're just not gonna tell what it stands for. Shockingly. Many variants were developed and are still in use on the battlefield today. Since the warhead itself does not use rocket propulsion, it is not considered a rocket launcher. Oh, I know that one. It's a sword. Nah, I'm kidding. It's also an explosive. Officially named the M18 Claymore Mine, an anti-personnel mine developed by the Americans. It is placed on the ground, and when it detonates, huge numbers of metal balls fly at the target at high speed, dealing lethal damage. This is insanity. What was she yelling anyway? I didn't understand at all. Ooh, this one I don't know. Okay, short for Unmanned Aerial Vehicle. There are multiple types of UAVs, such as completely autonomous ones that fly a pre-programmed route or attack pre-designated targets, as well as those that are controlled remotely by pilots on the ground. UAVs can be given a variety of missions, such as reconnaissance and bombing. I guess a kind of drone? This is a lot for one woman. She's saying all these things, but nothing is happening. I was imagining her conjuring all these things at once, and then she suddenly fell silent. She was thinking about something. I should just forget about relying on her. I should get out of here now. It was safe to assume that Kazuki's shouting had attracted the woman's attention. What? Kazuki started to scream again, oblivious to my fears. I couldn't take it anymore. I looked down over the fence. The crowd was looking up and pointing at Kazuki. Yeah. I looked over at the other building too, but I couldn't see the woman from my current position. I don't know what Sue is. Internet slang for an extremely powerful protagonist character. Oh, like a Mary Sue? So a God Mode Sue character never loses a fight and oftentimes never gets scratched. They are immortal, invincible, and often extremely boring to read about. That's great. Just the entire story is just going to be this. I wanted to tell her to run away with me, but after she told me to be quiet, I felt this strange pressure not to speak. So all this stuff she's shouting is just not happening, but be quiet, that was just immediate, that immediately affected me. I just have to leave her. If the woman was after me, Kazuki was probably safe here. I knew that was just foolish optimism, but I didn't feel like I had any other choice. I refused to just die here. Sorry, Kazuki. Huh. Should I know this one? A legendary spear used by Cuchulainn in Celtic mythology. Or Cuchulainn? Is that how you pronounce it? So maybe I had heard of it, but like really vaguely. I don't think I would have remembered that. I mean, clearly I didn't, but like, I don't think I could have conjured that up. That I feel like I should know this one as well. I probably picked it up in a game or something. Also called the Blade of Amana Murakumo, one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan. It is currently kept in Atsuta Shrine. Maybe I picked it up in Neo or something. I turned my back on Kazuki and headed for the door. But? Are you really? Well, the door to the stairs exploded into flames right in front of me. Hot wind scorched my skin. It was too hot for me to even keep my eyes open. The unpleasant smell of smoke stung my nose. I heard a sound. It was the sound of the heels that I'd heard in the classroom a moment ago. I mean, I know she wants me dead, but this is persistent. The woman was standing in the fire, her long hair flapping in the wind. She was moaning something to herself. I'd run right into her. There was no place to hide. The staircase was the one way down and she'd just blown it up. This was it. I was dead. Ooh. Okay, nope, nothing happened. Kazuki started screaming again. Maybe her powers have some sort of keywords that actually work, and she's just got no idea what they are. She was just screaming meaningless words down into the crowd below with her back turned to us. Turned to us. Now was not the time for this. That was just... Maho was magic, I know that. The last one was lightning magic. I missed the first 2. I couldn't move at all. And for some reason, the woman wasn't moving either. She was just standing there mumbling to herself. Yeah, I got nothing. I searched my field of vision for the D-sword. I'd seen it the last time we were attacked. If I could find it, I might be able to fight. But I didn't see any sign of it. Don't know. I keep chanting, move, move, move to myself, but nothing started to float up or move on its own. Even if I did have some kind of power, if I couldn't use it now, it was worthless. I was helpless. I was defenseless. It was far too late for it to matter. I guess this is what she meant when she said results were not guaranteed. Far, far too late. I'm waiting for some comical finish, though, where she says tank again and it just drops from the sky like a cartoon. But Kazuki finally stopped screaming. Her shoulders slumped helplessly. She was back to her usual silent self. Suddenly everything was so quiet I thought I could hear my heart beat. I was so tense I thought I might throw up. The stomach acid was working its way out my throat. I forced myself to swallow it back down. If I moved even the slightest bit when I vomited, the woman might attack. I couldn't move. Was I going to die? Kazuki was probably going to die too. I felt pretty bad about that. Did Arimura make it out okay? Would Serika, Kurisu, and Ito be sad without me? I could hear Kazuki's whisper, drowning in the howl of the wind. And then the pyrokinetic woman took one staggering step towards me. Flames appeared in her hands. Oh, that's cool. It was over. I bit my lip and clenched my fist, trying to ready myself for the pain that was to come. Of course, nothing would be enough to prepare me for it, but I felt like if I didn't do that, I'd collapse to the ground from fear. But then... I heard an eerie, high-pitched noise from the moonlit sky. It was a maddening, painful noise, like the earth itself was screaming with agony. It was the kind of noise that made people look to the sky in fear. The woman froze. I looked back down from the sky and blinked in confusion at what I saw. No, it wasn't just confusion. The thing had appeared between me and the woman with no warning at all. What? Huh? What the hell was this? It looked something like a globe. It was making a strange, slightly unpleasant sound, like metal scraping against metal. It looked like a piece of modern art, but the rings on the outer edge were rotating and the hexagonal cube in the center was glowing softly. It wasn't here a moment ago. It wasn't a part of the roof's decorations. It was impossible to believe it was real, because it looked like it was floating. I seriously wondered if I was seeing things, but I wasn't the only one who saw it.
ポータル装置
She chanted that like an hour ago. Now it shows up?
かも。
Kazuki's words were a whisper. A portal device? What the hell? If she knew what it was, did that mean it was hers? But even she seemed to be shocked by its presence. The woman panted as if she was hyperventilating, and then clicked her heels against the ground. The flames flickered in her hands. The fire exploded outward towards the strange object. The object was wreathed in a column of flame. But it didn't burn or melt from the heat or explode. It simply floated there. Maybe it really was an illusion, I thought. The woman looked frustrated. She raised her voice in a wordless scream, then tried to punch it with her other hand. Oh no, you fool! And I could see the pallor of her face change in the light of the flames. She was frozen in shock. It wasn't just her expression. Her whole body seemed as still as if she had been encased in ice. The roaring flames began to disappear. I could see what looked like scan lines appear all across her body. Bye-bye. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I was hallucinating again. Whoa. Whoa. But in an instant, her body dissolved into tiny particles. Did it, or did she go somewhere? But either way, damn. Red blood splattered everywhere. Well, it covered my body. This is gonna throw off the New Generation Madness killings. Like, she just died. Kazuki killed her. It was so hot I thought I'd burn. What the hell? What just happened? There was no trace of her body. There was nothing left of her except a spray of blood on my body and the ground. Oh yeah, you can see it here. What Kazuki had called a portal device was still there, making its strange noises. Still confused, I tried to touch it? You utter jackass! Did you not see what just happened?
触ったらダメかも。
Kazuki grabbed my arm and stopped me. She still looked sad.
転送装置かもだから。演数2に出てくる。
Of course, there you go.
変数2転送装置
ESO2 was the game Kazuki played all the time, right?
私、現実化しちゃったのかも。
What did she mean, maybe? And wait, what did she mean by made it real?
あの女の人が消える時のエフェクト、同じだったかも。演数2でポータル装置使った時と。
That's why the scan lines appeared.
エフェクトだって
What did she mean by graphical effect? No, I knew what she meant. That wasn't the issue. I didn't understand what she was saying. It was like listening to words from another dimension, which, I mean, kind of is.
ここはゲームの中じゃないんだぞ。普通人は消えないし、人の体にエフェクトなんて出ないんだぞ。
Okay, dude, normally people don't cast fireballs either?
うん。ここは現実。演数2の中と違って、ポータル装置がある世界じゃない。だったら。
Kazuki was a little hesitant, and there were tears in her eyes as she spoke.
あの女の人、どこ行っちゃった？
Well, I was gonna say to some level in the video game, but maybe because that doesn't exist, she's just obliterated? The woman had disappeared right in front of me. It was like she'd been dissolved into tiny little pieces. Whose blood was on my clothes and on the ground?
私、取り返しのつかないことしたかも。
Her words were vague, but she covered her face with her hands and fell to the ground, crying. Next to her, I vomited from the smell of blood. That woman was dead. I didn't know why exactly, but I felt sure of it. Maybe it was the fact that her blood exploded all over me that was a slight clue. I felt no relief at having survived. I'd long since given up trying to take in everything that was going on around me. Shortly afterward, Kazuki and I had fled the school. Cheat, ban. They're not even in our text boxes, we're just bringing them up. Ban. Ban comes from the first 3 letters of the word banishment. In web jargon, it refers to the act of disabling a user's account on a service or web page, usually after they've violated repeated warnings and committed multiple violations of the terms of service. And cheat. Computer gaming jargon refers to the use of tools or other methods to change a game's data. In recent years, developers have sometimes loaded their own games with cheat modes. The secret codes sometimes seen in video games are a form of cheat. I couldn't walk through Shibuya in blood-covered clothes, and I wanted to stay out of sight. As I wondered what to do, Kazuki pulled me by the hand. Okay, you got me there.
Kazuki.
So she does, have a home. I didn't ask why her Japanese was so weird. Where was her house? What if her family found me? I didn't have the energy left to ask. Kazuki looked exhausted and frightened. I was sure I did too. Wow, a new background. This was freaking nuts, but for now it is time to stop the installment. Well, we certainly made a lot of progress today, didn't we? We found Kazuki's story, which started from running away from the pyrokinetic. Who would not stop? She was blowing up cars, somehow arranging them in front of the gate in the school. I have no idea how that worked. And she tracked us to the roof, and Kazuki obliterated her. Her power apparently involves some kind of conjuration, but it doesn't always work. What wish did she make? Did she wish she could be a video game protagonist or what? I don't know, but we're over at Kazuki's place and we'll see what happens. Until next time, everyone.